So today I was thinking and want to talk to you about something that's kind of sad about home service businesses, and that is that they are not built to last. And what I mean by that is the way most home service businesses are built is by somebody like you and I, somebody who had an idea or a dream and figured, might as well either try it or I think I can do it myself. How hard can it be? But the problem is that we don't learn how to build a business. We learn how to sell. We learn how to run crews. We learn about the products. We learn about a lot of different things, but we don't know how to build a business. And because of that, it ends up running solely on us, making sure that we're constantly there, pushing the business forward, making sure that it still exists, that it survives, and we work longer and longer hours. And especially the more employees we get, we somehow seem to be working more and more and more to the point where eventually the business will shut down. And most small businesses go out of business before the 6th year of business. And it's usually due to lack of cash flow. They run out of cash. And then the second thing is burnout. They just don't have it in them anymore to keep the business alive. So if we haven't met before, hi, my name is Adam Keeler. I own a small home service business here in North Dallas. I grew it from zero all the way to $1 million. And along the way, I ran into obstacles that made it so I almost lost the business twice. But now I have a business that runs on its own, it manages itself, and I'm able to do the things that I love in the business and step out of the business. And so I've been able to have the time to make this YouTube channel. My hope is that through this YouTube channel, I'll be able to pass this information over to you so that you can build your business the right way, in a way that can run on its own and manage itself instead of all of it on you. So like I mentioned in today's video, I want to talk about how most businesses are not set up to last very long. And it reminds me of lots of businesses that I have come to know throughout the years. For example, there's somebody in Fort Worth, I've mentioned him in one of my other videos, who he had a really large business in Hawaii, came here years later and was building his business, grew it all the way to $1 million, had it for 5 years, and then in January told me that he was going to shut it down and go out of business. He said, I want to keep going, but I don't know how much longer I can keep up the beating of feeling like his business just can't just catch a break. It just isn't profitable. And month after month, he feels like they just don't have enough leads, or their expenses are too high, or the customers just aren't what they used to be, and they're frustrating to work with. The competition, and the list just went on, and he was losing money every month. And then some months they'd earn some money and then go back to losing money. And it is such a hard cycle to live in as a small business owner. That's where we were too, not too long ago. I didn't realize that I had built my business to fail. I had gotten to the point where my business had too high of expenses, and I had the mindset of, well, yeah, I have these expenses, but they're needed, and all I need to do is sell just a few more jobs or get this big job or whatever, or let's just earn a little bit more in the year, because we were stuck at $1 million. Like, oh, let's just earn 1.2 million. That will solve all of our problems. But we just kept running into this cash flow problem where every single payroll every 2 weeks, it felt like, I don't know if we'll be able to make it. And then somehow we were able to make it. And then 2 weeks later, I was stressed out again. And it's just this vicious cycle. And I was thinking about how the majority, it's like 90% of businesses go out within the first 5 years. And how when we hit our 5th year point, it was looking bad. It was looking like we were about to shut it down as well. There's something about that 5th year that is just, it's either long enough that we get tired, or we had worked so hard and we built just this business that's just a little bit too big or too hard to manage and not set up well, to the point where it collapses or we give up. So I just want to share a little bit of what I know about how to make it so your business does last. So the first thing that I would say is you need to build the business that is built on a foundation, the right foundation. You want to make sure that the business has every step of the business, all the different pieces have it the right pieces in the right way. So, for example, I had thought that my business was growing just year after year, and I thought that the next year it was going to be so big. We were going to jump from 1 million to 2 million. And so, in order to do that, I needed to double my team. And I doubled the installers, and we made sure that that was all taken care of, that we were going to fulfill on all this extra business that we were going to bring in. And I wanted to make sure that I had everybody hired and trained early enough that when all this business was going to come in, we were going to handle it really well. But then we just never could get to the point where we were selling enough to have all these employees. And I was paying out a ton of cash to all of these employees. And I was paying a lot of money in these wages that we didn't even need. So we shrunk the business a little bit. We got rid of some installers. And then about 6 months to a year later, we shrunk again with the installing side. So what happened is we shrunk again because we had too many people on the fulfillment side. So I helped move some people over to the sales and getting customer side. And then it became way more balanced. As I was learning how to build a more balanced business, that's where I stumbled upon building the business the way that it's intended, the right foundation. And I have other videos on my channel talking about it. And if you want more information and have our help, then click on the link below and I will send you that information. So that's the first thing. The next thing that you need to have in place is the mindset of making sure that you don't feel like, if I grow, it'll fix all my problems. We just need that next sale. If you have that mindset, then you're constantly going to be spending the money now thinking, oh, well, this expense that I just bought, whether it's a new tool or equipment or a new hire or whatever, like, it'll pay for itself. I just need one job a month and it will pay for itself. That mentality is so bad, because when you add up all these things that it only takes one job, you get to the point where the jobs that you're getting are just paying for all this debt and you're not actually bringing in any money for your business. So that mentality, that mindset needs to go away. And you actually need to shrink your services and offers so that you don't have so much debt and so much stuff where it's really sinking your business. So attached to this is the thought of this guy, I think his name's Mike Michalowicz. He wrote a book called Profit First. Now, this mentality of profit first is essentially the opposite of scaling and just scaling to fix your problems. It's, how do you fix all your problems now so that you can be profitable now? And it sucks, because if you've already purchased things and you've gotten to the point where you're just like, oh wow, I have all this debt, if I sell it or get rid of it or fire these employees, like, you feel like you're stepping back, you're going backwards and you're not moving forwards. But the problem is, I ran into this, and so many other business owners have run into the same thing, where we get stuck in this feeling like we just got to make it better. Like, we can't go backwards. But what I'm telling you now is you have to go backwards. We did go backwards. We shrunk our business a little bit. We got rid of a lot of programs and extra things that we were spending on our money on, and we became a lot more lean. So the money that was coming in was staying in, and then that way, when we got 1 or 2 more extra jobs in the month, that felt like a lot. It felt like a lot of profit coming in. So changing it to profit first really makes it where you have to think really hard to know what things you need to keep, what's really important, and you don't just go based on how you feel. Because going back to the point why most home service businesses, or I guess any business, goes out of business, the majority of the reason, the main reason, is that they run out of cash. So if you build your business where you're constantly getting debt and you're not making cash, like, your business should be somewhere between 5 and 20% profitability after everything's paid for. All of your expenses is paid for. You need to have, including taxes, You need to have 5 to 20%. Now I say 5, some people might get really upset with that lower number. Sometimes it is harder to have a higher percentage when you're fixing things, but it's nice to just be in the positive. If you're at 0 or negative, then you're setting yourself up for failure. You might be able to handle it for a little bit, and obviously I'm not talking about the growing phase, because the growth phase of the business, you really do need to push hard, spend more money, but do it the right way. And I have another video that talks about how to scale and grow the right way. But if you're not in that point where you need to scale and you're struggling, especially if you feel like you're going to go out of business, then shrink your business, shrink your services, get rid of the debt, almost start over in a way so that you are profitable, have that profit first. Because we want to have your business last forever. We want it to be able to pass on to your kids or somebody else, or maybe grow it or franchise it or whatever. We don't want you to go out of business. And so many businesses go out of business because they don't set it up the right way. Well, thank you so much for watching. Again, if you're interested in learning more about any of this information in more detail and how we can help you, we help a lot of entrepreneurs, business owners just like you. Just click on the link below. I'll send you the information. And with that being said, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.